Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling something that, well, it feels like it should be the ultimate luxury, right?
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it ends up feeling more like this really heavy backpack you just didn't ask to carry.
Yeah.
We're talking about time, but specifically, empty time.
It's such a fascinating topic. I mean, theoretically, free time is the absolute goal, isn't it? It's the finish line. We grind for decades just to get to retirement or even just white knuckle it through the week to get to Saturday morning.
Right.
But then when that silence actually arrives, it doesn't always feel like a reward.
See, and that is exactly where I get stuck. Because if you told me right now, hey, here is a full month of absolutely nothing, I would think I won the lottery.
Most people would.
But I was looking at the research we pulled for this deep dive, specifically looking at retirement, and there was this statistic that honestly kind of terrified me.
The TV one.
Yes. A survey found that for 80% of seniors, their main hobby in retirement is just watching TV.
80%. Yeah.
80%. I mean, you spend 40 years working for your freedom, and then you spend it staring at a screen. It feels like a glitch in the human operating system.
They actually call it the retirement paradox. We crave the time, but when we finally get it, we just don't know what to do with it. It feels heavy.
And that heaviness is what I really want to explore today, because we have a stack of research here that looks at this void from two very different angles.
Right.
We have the science of hobbies, how to fill voluntary free time. But then we also have something much darker, much heavier, the involuntary empty time of a hospital waiting room.
Which those feel like two completely different worlds.
Completely. You have a guy who is just bored on a Tuesday afternoon, and then the person praying in an ICU. How do those even connect?
Well, on the surface they don't, but psychologically speaking, the brain actually reacts to the void in surprisingly similar ways. It constantly searches for meaning. And what we're going to find as we go through this is that the cure for the boredom of retirement and the sheer terror of the ICU is exactly the same. We've got pizza, we've got pipe cleaners, and we've got a widower with a broom.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the best case scenario. You are healthy, you are retired, you have total agency.
Voluntary void.
Exactly. Why is the default setting just TV? And what should we actually be doing instead? Because the material we have on the science of engagement was a lot more than just some list of fun weekend activities.
Right. It's not just about staying busy for the sake of it. It's deeply rooted in biology. If you look at the data on hobbies, the ones that actually move the needle on longevity, they aren't just distractions. They are literal maintenance for the machinery.
Like table tennis.
Oh.
That was in the source.
Yes, table tennis.
You mean just regular ping pong?
Exactly that. It sounds completely trivial, right? But the neuroscience on ping pong is wild. It's not just about reflexes keeping you sharp into your 80s. It's about proprioception.
Proprioception. Okay, that's knowing where your body is in physical space, right?
Yes. When you play table tennis, your brain has to simultaneously map the ball, your hand, the paddle, and your opponent's movement. And it does all this in milliseconds.
Wow.
It forces the brain to maintain this incredibly high-resolution map of physical space. And that specific cognitive skill, spatial mapping, is often one of the very first things to decline as we age.
That makes total sense. It's almost like running a GPU stress test, but for your brain.
That's a great way to put it. And it's low impact, much like walking or cycling or swimming, which the research points out puts zero strain on your joints.
Okay, what about the quieter stuff, though? Like reading or meditation? I feel like everyone always says, oh, you should read more. But is there an actual biological mechanism there, or is it just something we say to sound smart?
It's definitely more than just sounding smart. Reading, particularly deep reading where you get completely lost in a narrative, it slows cognitive aging. It builds what's called cognitive reserve.
Yeah.
And the research shows that meditation actively relieves physiological stress. Painting boosts dopamine. Gardening actually purifies your immediate air quality. Photography turns memory making into art. Even learning an instrument fosters social connection.
Okay, so we have physical mapping with ping pong, emotional elasticity with reading, dopamine from painting, but here is the catch.
What's that?
I can know all this science. I can know that learning the cello will build my gray matter, but I am still probably going to just end up on the couch watching TV.
Yeah.
Why is there such a massive gap between knowing what's good for us and actually doing it?
That is the million-dollar question. And the answer might actually lie in a concept from Korean culture that was highlighted in our research. It's called Heungmi.
Heungmi. Break that down for us.
It translates roughly to genuine interest, fun, and enjoyment, but it's very distinct from how we usually think about hobbies in the West.
How so?
Well, we tend to optimize everything. We say, I should learn chess because it makes me smarter. Or I should run because it's good cardio.
Right, it's very utilitarian.
Exactly. It becomes just another job. Heungmi is the anti-job. It's the golden rule of filling your time. It basically says it doesn't matter what you do as long as the motivation comes from pure delight, not obligation.
Okay, that resonates.
If you are learning a language just to keep your brain sharp, you'll probably quit. If you're learning it because you just genuinely love the sound of the words, you'll stick with it.
It sounds a little bit like the flow state, doesn't it? That zone where time just completely disappears.
It's related, sure, but flow is often associated with high performance or tackling a real challenge. Heungmi is much softer. It's just liking it.
Liking it.
Yeah. It's the difference between training for a marathon and just going for a walk because you think the air smells good. That genuine connection is what actually cures the boredom. You stop trying to kill time and you start inhabiting it.
So that's the voluntary side of things. You have the power to choose your Heungmi. But I want to bridge the gap here to the other side of our research, because everything totally changes when that choice is stripped away from you.
Right. This is the pivot from high agency empty time to low agency empty time.
Exactly. Retirement is, I have time. The hospital waiting room is, time has me.
That is a terrifying distinction.
It really is. We have 3 stories in this deep dive that center around the hospital environment. And honestly, reading through the source material, it's incredibly heavy. But it so perfectly illustrates what happens to the human mind when it's forced to just wait.
First, we have Sarah's story.
Yes.
This comes from the Christmas Miracle account. She's a mother. She's sitting in an ICU waiting room. Her 8-year-old daughter, Lily, has leukemia. And Sarah has been in that waiting room for 21 days.
21 days. The sensory details in her account really struck me. It wasn't just the overarching fear of death. It was the sensory torture of the waiting room itself.
The crumpled tissues everywhere.
Yes, the crumpled tissues, the cold coffee, sitting there with an old Bible, just keeping this endless watch. She actually talks about looking in the mirror in the bathroom and feeling like a stranger, just seeing these hollow eyes.
That's the total loss of identity. In that waiting room, you aren't a marketing manager or a gardener or even a friend. You're just the mother in room 4. And then you layer the financial stress on top of it.
Right. They had $20 left.
Exactly. Her husband, David, is constantly having to leave the hospital to take meetings just because they have massive bills to pay. And every single time those ICU doors open, there's that spike of pure fear.
It's a state of suspended animation. You're frozen. And then you have Mark's story from the Pizza Man source. A very similar situation back in 2018.
Mark Thompson.
Right. His son, who is also named David, is in a severe motorcycle accident. Mark spends 12 hours just pacing a hallway. He doesn't even know if his son is going to survive the night.
And in both of these cases, Sarah and Mark, the theme is so clear. The enemy isn't just the medical crisis.
No.
The enemy is the silence. It's the crushing weight of doing absolutely nothing while your brain imagines the absolute worst case scenario. It's empty time weaponized against you.
So how do you break that? Because you can't just walk up to Mark and tell him, hey man, go play some table tennis. It's really good for your proprioception.
No, absolutely not. And this is where the research gets incredibly inspiring. The solution in these stories didn't come from a brilliant doctor. It didn't come from some massive medical breakthrough. It came from what the source refers to as small hands.
Small hands. I love that imagery.
It refers to small human gestures that break the spell of the void. Let's look at Mark's situation. It's 4 a.m. He's practically losing his mind pacing. A nurse approaches him, Nurse Sarah.
Right.
She doesn't have a medical update for him. She has a sandwich, a warm sandwich.
She just sits with him.
Exactly. She doesn't say, oh, it's going to be okay, because frankly, she doesn't know that. She just sits in total silence while he eats. And he noted that that silence was different. It wasn't the empty, terrifying silence of the waiting room. It was a companionable silence.
It was comforting.
It validated his existence in that moment.
It's witnessing, isn't it? It's someone essentially saying, I see you're in hell right now, and I'm just going to sit here for a minute so you aren't in it alone.
Yes.
And then with Sarah Lily's mom, we have Nurse Emily Chen.
Nurse Emily takes this concept a step further. She realized that the waiting room was essentially a vacuum of joy. It was totally sterile, just people doing tasks. So she decides to introduce something completely alien to that environment.
Pipe cleaners.
fuzzy, colorful pipe cleaners.
Which is completely absurd, right? You're in a place of literal life and death, and she's bringing in arts and crafts.
But the absurdity is kind of the point. Emily had actually lost her own brother, Jacob, to leukemia 5 years prior. She knew exactly what the pain of that waiting room felt like. She knew the room needed a disruptor.
Wow.
So on the night shift, from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m., she gets the other nurses on their breaks to start twisting these pipe cleaners into animals. Butterflies, rabbits, little bears. They weren't perfect. They were even joking, like, is this weird? But they made 27 of them with love.
And they placed them anonymously on the waiting room Christmas tree.
With little messages of hope attached.
This is the spark we were talking about. Mm-hmm. You have a warm sandwich at 4 a.m., and you have a little purple pipe cleaner bear. These are, objectively speaking, tiny, tiny things.
Minuscule.
But they shifted the entire atmosphere from a sterile medical facility to a human community.
They filled the empty time with pure connection. And what's incredible to see is the ripple effect this creates, because these small acts didn't just comfort people in that isolated moment. They fundamentally changed how those people interacted with the world afterward.
Right, because Mark Thompson's son David does recover, thankfully. But Mark doesn't just go back to his normal life and forget about it.
He returns 1 month later.
Friday night, 11 p.m. He walks right back into that ER with 6 pizzas. The pizza ritual.
He tells them, you guys saved us, you work these terrible nights, please just eat. And the thing is, he keeps coming back.
Every single week.
Next week, it's coffee and donuts, then it's sandwiches. Think about the reclaiming of agency there. He went from being the helpless victim pacing the hallway to the person actively feeding the healers.
He turned the hospital from a place of intense fear into a place of service. Which brings us to the third story in our dive today, and I think this is probably the most profound example of this phenomenon, Robert Chen.
Robert.
Because unlike Mark, Robert didn't get the happy ending.
No, he didn't. Robert was 76 years old. His wife, Margaret, passed away on the 7th floor of Memorial Hospital after a really long battle with cancer. He had visited her every single day from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for 2 years.
2 entire years. That hospital essentially became his home.
And when she died, naturally, everyone expected him to just vanish, to go home and grieve in private. But Robert didn't stop coming.
He starts cleaning the corridors.
Yes. He just picks up a broom, he starts sweeping, wiping down the windows in the hallway. The hospital staff is totally confused. They tell him, sir, you know we have janitors, right? You don't have to do this.
Yeah. And he refuses to stop. He says, please just let me, this brings me comfort.
I want to pause on that for a second. Why cleaning? Why is scrubbing a hospital floor comforting when your wife just passed away?
It goes back to that idea of control, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Cancer is absolute chaos. Death is chaos. You can't control it. It just sweeps in and takes what it wants.
Exactly.
But a dirty floor, a smudge on a glass window, you can actually fix that. It's tangible.
It's ordering the chaos. By cleaning that hallway, he was imposing a tiny bit of order on a world that felt like it was completely falling apart. It gave him back a domain of control.
But he didn't stay a janitor. His behavior evolved.
It did. He started noticing the other people in the waiting room, the people currently trapped in the void he knew so well. And he transitioned from cleaning the physical floors to counseling. He started sitting with patients who were totally alone.
There's that one specific anecdote in the source. The 40-year-old terminal cancer patient.
That one is so powerful. This 40-year-old man was pretending to be incredibly strong for his wife and kids, pretending he wasn't absolutely terrified. But when he was finally alone with Robert, he just collapsed in his arms.
And Robert simply held him and told him, it's okay to cry.
Having just lost his own wife, Robert gave that man permission to drop the mask. The patient wept, but afterwards, he was lighter. He could actually face his family and talk to them honestly.
Robert realized that the hospital isn't just a machine for treating bodies. It's a place where humans comfort humans. He said he was simply giving back the warmth that he had received.
It's amazing because we started this deep dive talking about ping pong and retirement boredom, but we've ended up seeing that the underlying mechanic is exactly the same.
Yes.
Whether you are retired and bored out of your mind or grieving and terrified in an ICU, the solution to empty time is connection.
It's about turning outward. The retirees who are the happiest aren't the ones just watching TV for 10 hours. They're the ones playing an instrument with their friends or gardening for their local community.
And in the hospital, Mark and Robert survived their crushing trauma by turning outward to help others.
It's the ripple effect. And it wasn't just about individual healing either. These small hands actually drove systemic change in these institutions.
They completely changed the culture. Robert's impact on the 7th floor was massive. Young nurses saw him and actually remembered why they became nurses in the first place, not just to update medical charts, but to care for people.
A resident doctor even said he learned more about empathy from watching Robert than he ever did in medical school.
And Mark's Friday night pizza runs, they became legendary. Other people saw it and started joining in. People brought muffins on Saturdays, sandwiches on Sundays.
By year 3, Mark actually proposed an official ER family support program. He started training volunteers.
And his training wasn't highly technical medical stuff. It was basically, don't try to fix it, just listen, just be there.
And going back to Sarah, the mom in the waiting room with the pipe cleaners, her story shows the community impact so clearly. That pipe cleaner tree caused total strangers in the waiting room to start talking to each other. They shared cards. They became a makeshift family.
Sarah found that little purple bear that said, "You are not alone." That tiny, twisted piece of fuzz gave her the strength to finally eat something and get some sleep.
Which meant she was present and strong when her daughter, Lily, actually woke up on Christmas Eve. Lily even called the purple bear a gift from an angel.
Sarah realized that Nurse Emily wasn't just doing tasks, she was the light in the darkness.
It connects right back to what we said at the very start of this. Heungmi. Genuine interest, genuine connection. Nurse Emily didn't sit there making pipe cleaner animals because it was in her job description. She did it because she genuinely cared.
And Mark didn't buy 6 pizzas every Friday for a tax write-off. He did it out of pure gratitude.
Gratitude became action. Action became habit. And habit became culture. And even in year 5, Mark's son David actually joined him on those Friday night pizza runs just to learn how to thank the people who saved him.
Which brings us to the closure of Robert's story. Every single night at 9 p.m., Robert goes to his wife's empty hospital room.
Right.
He sits there for 30 minutes, and he just tells her about his day. He told the nurses, turning grief into something beautiful. That's my healing.
So bringing all of this back to you, listening to this right now, most people listening aren't sitting in an ICU waiting room, hopefully. And maybe you aren't retired yet either. You're just busy.
But everyone has waiting rooms in their life. Maybe it's your morning commute. Maybe it's a random Sunday afternoon where you feel a bit disconnected or lonely. Maybe it's knowing a friend is going through a hard time and feeling like you just don't know what to say.
We constantly think, well, I'm not a doctor. I can't fix their medical problem. Or I'm not a trained therapist. I don't have the perfect words.
But you don't need to be. That is the entire lesson of the pizza and the pipe cleaners. You don't need an advanced degree to heal a moment. You just need to show up. You need to be the person with the sandwich.
The small hands philosophy.
Exactly. It takes small hands making small gestures.
So here's our challenge to you. This Friday at 11 p.m., maybe, in honor of Mark Thompson, or just whenever you find yourself with that familiar empty time, don't just kill it. Don't just sit there and scroll on your phone.
Fill it. Reach out to someone. Bake the muffins. Send that text you've been putting off. Twist the pipe cleaner. Because you truly never know when your small hand is going to be the exact thing that helps someone else finally get some sleep.
It's such a powerful reframing. Empty time doesn't have to be empty. It can literally be the canvas where connection happens. But, thinking about all this, it leaves me with one final thought that wasn't really in the research but feels so relevant today.
What's that?
We often think of time as a personal bank account. We hoard it. We try to save it. We get stressed when we're running out of it. We call it time poverty. But look at Mark and Robert and Emily. The moment they took their incredibly scarce, painful time and gave it away to someone else, they didn't become poorer. They became time wealthy. Giving your time away might actually be the only way to feel like you finally have enough of it.
That's something to really mull over.
Something to explore on your own. Thank you for diving deep with us today. This was a truly special one.
It really was.
Take care of each other. We'll see you next time.